All right, you guys, today we are going to present about GUI development and design. I'm Kaylee Bergeron, and this is.
I'm Afronoman.
I'm Angel.
All right. So first we're gonna get started off with, if you guys can just raise your hand if you've ever used a GUI before. Okay, now just raise your hand if you ever created your own GUI. Okay. So next we're just going to get into what is a GUI, because a lot of you guys have probably, or almost everyone has probably used a GUI first. And second of all, a lot of you guys have probably created and developed your own GUIs and you don't even know it yet. This one? Okay. All right, so what is a GUI? So GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. It's the part of the computer program or application that you interact with visually. Just to start off, also UI, user interface, just you interacting with the computer, just basic understanding. So instead of typing commands, you just click buttons or icons or images, sort of point and click interface. Think of it as the screen layout you see on a website or application where you can click, tap, and drag things around to make things happen. So, for example, on here, as you can see, these are all GUIs within one window or screen. So all of these are considered widgets that you can all click and interact with. So just a little bit more into it as well. There's three main parts of a GUI: the frame, the code, and the events. The frame is the main window that you're seeing here that contains the visual elements, which are widgets in this point of view. The code's the programming logic or instructions that define the functionality and behavior of the GUI. For example, one of our presentations was about APIs. So to connect the front end of the GUI to the back end of the functionality, you can also use APIs for that function as well. And the events, the actions that trigger the specific responses. So taking it back, the history of GUIs. So it goes back to 1973, which honestly isn't that long ago, which is crazy to think of people being in school for computer science at that time, and the fact that a lot of people in computer sciences didn't even have mouses or anything, and only computers and keyboards at this point. So in 1973, the first GUI was created, but it wasn't used commercially, only by computer scientists, and not going to bore you with all that, but to get into the fun stuff, the first commercially sold GUI was sold by Apple in 1984, which also wasn't that long ago, and also sold was a mouse. And as you can see, this is an example kind of what the first commercial GUI looked like. So with the help of Park Research Center, they were able to collaborate and get information to create this. And another fun fact is that the first mouse was created with wood. So in case you didn't know that, thought that was crazy. But as you can see, there is a menu bar to access files, apps, system features, a calculator, alarm clock, notepad, control panel, etc., which a lot of these features we still use today. So although we've developed a lot of ways and there's so much that we have learned and done at this point, we're still using a lot of the features that were created when GUIs were first sold commercially. So, for example, some of the GUIs that we use now consist of your smart TVs, point and click interface, also your mobile phones or any mobile devices, your iPads, tablets, etc. This is what it looks like now. So we developed a lot visually into the psychology of it all. Visuals were a really big thing. So all the colors that you see play a big role in GUI development as well. Yeah. So now how to create and use a GUI. I'm going to pass it to Afra.
Okay, so we're going to be creating GUIs using Tkinter, and to get started, we want to make sure we have Visual Studio Code and Python. We should all have VS Code because of the other workshop that introduced it to us. we should also all have Python installed, and Tkinter comes with Python. So it comes with the latest 3 versions. So if it's not installed, there's like a command you'll find in our documentation that'll help you install it. And then when we're building the Python file, these 3 import statements are going to be like the most important and like what you'll usually see in a Tkinter application. So first we'll import Tkinter and abbreviate it as TK so that it's easier to reference. And then this from Tkinter import asterisk, it imports all functions and built-in modules. And then TTK, we import it. It's a themed Tkinter, which gives you more modern looking widgets and like it adjusts to the user's OS. Like it helps with all that. And so, small intro to Tkinter. It's the standard GUI library for Python. It's open source and a cross-platform widget toolkit utilized by various programming languages to construct GUIs, and it's really straightforward, so it's highly recommended for beginners. The 3 main parts of a Tkinter application is going to be, again, the import Tkinter statement, and then root equals tk.tk. That is what creates the main window where all the graphical components will be. Root is just a name that you can make it any name, and so like since it represents the window, most people will usually call it the root as it's like the root of the whole GUI, or like top because it's the top part of the application, or just window. And then root.main loop, it enters the main event loop so that an event triggers whenever a user interacts with it. And so this is a simple calculator GUI. This has 2 widgets, the entry widget right here, and then these buttons right here. So like we play it, you'll see clicking on the buttons enters it into the entry widget. And then it works like a calculator. And then you'll see it also, like you can copy and paste whatever you want into that entry widget, and it has all the functionalities of a calculator, and it can also be changed into dark mode because like Tkinter works with your OS. And then this is some code. So as you can see, we imported TK and TTK. We didn't import like all the functions because it's a pretty small application, so we didn't really need it. But yeah, this is where the evaluations happen. This is where we create the main window and we title it calculator. Yeah, that's about it.
Hi. I'm gonna talk about another simple GUI application built using the Tkinter library in Python. This is the weather widget application that we can retrieve and display the live weather data from any city in the world. We will use the Tkinter library that display the weather data, and we use some library in the Tkinter lab. We will use some function in the Tkinter library in Python for to create the main window. To create the main window, to create the main window for the GUI, we will use tk.tk function. It will initialize the main window, allow us to add the widgets. For example, label, title, and pattern for the main window. The second function, root.title, is used to set the title for the main window. And another function, root.geometry, is used to create the dimension for the main window. This function here is used to create the label for the main window. We can see the label enter city for the main window. And another function is that we see ttk.entry to create the text entry for allow the user to input the city name here. And move to another function, we also see that the function to create the button get weather, when the user click on the get weather button to get the weather information. And another function is that we also use label function here to get and display the live weather data information. And the last function is main loop. When we stack the main loop, we will use keep the GUI more responsive, and always listen to the user interaction. Just at like when the user click on the button or input the city name in the text entry field. We okay, I will go to the demo about the weather widgets. How to get it? Okay, I will input the city name here and get the weather button. We can see the current temperature, humidity, weather, and wind speed. And when I input invalid city name, we will get the error notification. And or maybe we missed the city name, we also get a notification. The live weather data will use the application will use the weather OpenMap API to get the live weather data from the internet. We will move to another example for GUI.
Thank you. All right, and now we just have one last beginner-friendly GUI example. So this one, as we were showing you with Apple's first very GUI example, GUI commercial computer sale that they made, they also did a menu bar. So this is just a simple example. All right, so this one also has a text editor as well. So whenever you first initially open it, it creates a text editor file. So now you can save it. So this is me saving it to our files. And then after it is saved, I'm just gonna create a new one and just add random test data into it, just to show you that whenever you open up that file that you just created, your data is still going to be there from the file that you just saved. And then also showing this very simple. And then when you exit, it just exits. Okay, now to get into the code. Also, you've seen examples of this as well, but just as Afra was saying, whenever you open it, if you see in my code, she used root tk.tk, but for mine, I did use window to open up the text editor GUI. And as you can see, mine's titled menu bar example. The tk.tk initializes the main application window. The add command adds clickable items to the drop-down menu. They're each linked to a function, like for my new file creation, open file, save file, and exit. The TK text window method creates a multi-line text widget inside the main window where users can write or edit the text. And then also, as aforementioned, the main loop starts the GUI event loop and makes the window responsive and enables the user interaction. So these are just very simple Python VS Code examples. So I know, just to go back, the first initial question that I asked was how many of you guys have used a GUI, and have your answers changed since you're more familiar with what the GUI is? I know we had like very few hands that weren't raised. Maybe you guys just didn't want to participate, but if you have a phone or a computer or anything, you have used a GUI before. And now to get onto our presentation, our example of what your project will be on for our GUI presentation, we will be creating a quiz GUI.
Okay, before we get into that, this is another application which takes those smaller GUIs and puts them all into one application. So if you'll see like this, it starts out on one frame with a menu with like getting to choose which application you want to use. You can use all of them the same. Right. And so it's pretty simple. And so the basic difference is that this application uses different frames to like open up to different applications. And so while most of the code is like similar from the other applications, this is like the code to where we like show the main menu and like the different applications. And then this is where we open the window and like we tell it which window to open to, which frame is the main frame. And like there we customize that frame and like what buttons lead where. So yeah, and so
this is the end of our simple GUI beginner instructions, but before we go on to a little bit more advanced GUI tutorial, did you guys have any questions or comments, concerns?
What made you choose Python?
Well, mainly because I know Dr. Ted kind of gave us that tutorial, so we were kind of just trying to link everything together between the VS Code, Python, and everything.
yeah, we know we're gonna use Python for like the class project, so.
And they also just have like the built-in packages with Tkinter as well.
Yeah. So this is part of our deliverable. We're gonna be creating a GUI quiz. And so we'll just watch the quiz for a second. Can anyone answer this question though? Which is not a main part of a GUI program?
I believe it's widgets.
Should play, hold on. Yes. Oh shit. Let's just watch the quiz. The first GUI was created in. Correct. What was in use before GUIs? Yes. And GUI stands for? Perfect. And you'll see it displays the results and it quits after you hit OK. And so before we get into what you will be delivering, we'll talk about how this is going to help with our class project.
We will talk about how we can use a GUI with leap motion. Firstly, we will need to understand about the leap motion. What leap motion? Leap motion is a hand check device that allow the user to interact with the digital environment via natural hand gesture. It will use sensor to check the hand movement and position of the hands in 3D environments. And we will use EasyLeap UI library to interact with GUI via leap motion controller. And if so, what is EasyLeap UI? EasyLeap UI is a library make it easy to add gesture control to user interface. It also includes some pre-built component like a button, slider, menu, and integrate very well with leap motion. Why we use EasyLeap UI library to integrate with GUI? Because there are some benefits. Firstly, EasyLib UI is a very simple process for integration with GUI, and it also includes some preview component to integrate with the clip motion controller, and EasyLib UI library is also work for both 2D and 3D environment. And next, we will discuss about the workflow, how to EasyLib UI library to work with clip motion. This flow represents how a hand gesture to is captured by the lip motion controller and processed by EasyLib UI library, and result in integration with GUI. For the first step, we start here. We will set up the lip motion controller and the user is ready to interact with the system. And the second step is hand gesture detected. When the hand gesture here is it's just about the hand movement and position of the hand. When hand gesture is detected, this signal will send to the lip motion controller, and move to the step 3. Lip motion controller will get the physical hand gesture signal and translate it to the digital data. And on this digital data will send to the EasyLib UI library to process it. EasyLib UI library will take this data and map this data into the specific action, just like adjusting the slider or pressing a button. After that, EasyLib UI will analyze the gesture data to figure out what kind of interaction the user is attempting to do. For example, when the user make the pinch, it means that the user want to scroll down the menu, or the user want to select the menu. And move to the next step. The GUI will trigger the UI, trigger the action UI element, and after that the GUI will respond to command based on the user interface. And the second step here is that the UI element respond action association with the user of hand gesture, such as when the user pinch the button over the menu over the button, it means that the UI will respond the button acting like press, and the end process here is it will the GUI is ready for the next action from the user interface. This is the flowchart for EasyLib UI library to work with lip motion controller, to interact with the GUI. And we will move to another.
Okay, so like An said, we're probably not going to be using Tkinter for the class workshop because it's mainly for 2D applications versus the 3D kiosk we're going to have. So, but Tkinter is a really good introduction into GUIs and like building your own. So for the deliverable, I want you guys to go to our pod repo and then go through the multiple choice quizzes code, follow along and create it on your own. Make sure it like works and everything. And if you have any questions about that, you can contact any of us. And then also look into the code for the application with all the small like widgets like the calculator function, the weather function, etc. And add in a frame for the multiple choice quiz where it displays the results. So you're gonna add in another frame. So you're gonna rework that and modify that code. And for what you'll be submitting is the modified code and a screen recording of the application working. So that's it. Any questions?
One question.
Yes.
Okay, so the application you made, all the functionality that you had for like the calculator, the weather app, was that all provided just by the Tkinter library?
Yes, all the widgets. So like if we
Like the opening the file, saving the file, and like interacting with like the weather API, that's all from Tkinter?
the weather API is that what-
It's mainly like with the help of Tkinter, but like the map API was just inserted in there and like.
Okay.
Yeah. So like for the calculator GUI, we used Tkinter's entry widget and button widgets.
Mm.
And like for
The functionality.
yeah, and like the what is it that one called? Menu bar GUI, you'll see we didn't use the entry widget, we used the text widget because the entry widget allows one line of text versus the text widget allows multiple lines and writing whatever you want. So like it's mainly about like exploring and working with the code yourself and like learning what each function does, what all the different methods are.
And another like fun fact for people who, for example, how the documentation presentation, they mentioned a portfolio website even, and they also mentioned if you're creating a portfolio website, you can do it through something like Google Sites, which doesn't require any code. You can still add those components and GUI features without having code. So that's also another fun thing. to
Like
do.
that itself is a GUI because you're
Yeah,
interacting with it
so-
without having to code anything.
Any other questions? I know that was pretty short and sweet, but I hope your understanding of GUIs are well-rounded now.
I have a question.
Mm.
Obviously, I mean, you kind of answered before why you chose Python and Tkinter, but did you look at any of the other GUI libraries out there? You know, was there anything else on your short list of what you maybe could have chosen or would have chosen, or was it a pretty easy choice?
I think it was
Yeah.
pretty easy because like we were learning about GUIs ourselves at first and everywhere would talk about like use Tkinter because it's like
Especially Tkinter with Python.
Mhm.
They're very
we
collaborative
started with
together,
Python, yeah.
But another one, when we were looking into the Leap Motion 3D features, a lot of them did discuss Unity as well, has a lot of built-in components for creating GUIs and implemented that as well.
And I know Python has like PyQt or simple GUI.
Yeah. So it just really depends on
very
how
easy to
complex
use.
or what
Yeah.
you are trying to.
Or just
do.
personal choice.
You guys have a link to that Leap Motion UI stuff, because we're the Leap Motion pods.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
we
got
have
it.
them.
Like where did you,
Take a gander.
wherever you got this information?
For the previous slides.
Ready.
Do you have the sites?
Yeah, you guys don't have to do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It's okay.
We'll
into it.
we'll
We'll
send
look-
that
we'll look
to
into
you.
it.
Yeah,
I don't
we'll
know
add all
yet.
our resources and the
Yeah.
documentation.
Mhm.
You can open that code too.
Yeah.
We're gonna upload all the
Everything will
code.
be in the GitHub repo.
Okay.
You know, it's like. So.
They only
Like
something
the
that
templates. So
many
personally, I would think that
resources
React is
that
great, but
it's just
functionality like
combine
that without.
everything.
I guess
Just give them a few resources you might remember, or like if you go
But not
searching for them again, I'm sure you'll find like one or two.
I'm just curious,
Oh, it's like.
Networking.
Yeah. What was the GUI that you guys had to
I
create
mean,
for
that
networking?
is confused, confuse the audience. person.
And it was a.
Want me to stop?
I think that is confused, it confused this.
No, they're the GUI, they're the leadership workshop, and they want to learn about it.
People said go stop your final check, now final check.
Wait, so can I ask the class a question? Do you guys
We can
know what the
stop.
interviews are due? Is it due this Friday?
Tomorrow.
Should I stop sharing or like?
Stop.
Yeah, we can go ahead. And then we're done there. And then.
So everyone, before I end the recording, is there any final questions you wanted to deliver? No, looks good. Okay, I'll go ahead and end the recording then.